that you call me up whenever you feel lonely. It's a sign of the times that you tell your friends that I'm your one and only.
All right, everybody, 1965, picture it. Times are changing, right? The war, Vietnam, civil rights, women's liberation dominating the headlines, and a young Midwestern woman finds herself in New York City chasing her dreams.
Yeah, that's the musical, A Sign of the Times. And this morning we are joined by cast members Chilina Kennedy and Justin Matthew Sargent. So welcome to both of you.
Yes, it's a great time.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Well, clearly both of you were not alive during the 1960s. So what kind of research did you guys do to be a part of this show?
A lot. I mean, I have to be honest, I talked to my mom a lot because, you know, she was basically Cindy. She grew up, you know, in this time period. She was working at this time period, so she talked a lot about gender politics in the workplace and feminism, and so that was really insightful for me.
Yeah, our director, Gabriel Barry, actually required all of us to come prepared to, you know, our first day of rehearsal with a healthy amount of research. And actually, Chilina's dad taught me how to hold a cigarette because there was a specific way you had, you know,
in the 60s?
In the 60s, that meant...
What was it?
It wasn't just this, like,
It was,
no,
it was between
like,
the other fingers.
but like all the way down here and like really covering your face.
Also because they had to keep their faces warm, and it's the first time that you could actually touch your face because you were so busy dealing with machinery and stuff like that. And my dad was in the military, obviously. So.
Right.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Oh. I'm not that I know how to hold a cigarette or anything. I'm not a smoker, but I always see people, you know, it's like, or there's the other thing. Anyway, so let's talk about your characters and who you both play, and let's start with you.
I play Cindy, so I'm from a small town, you know, my boyfriend, spoiler alert, I say I don't want to get married and I want to run off to New York City and become a professional photographer.
Okay.
So that's sort of my journey.
Yeah, so also from a small town in Ohio, Matt is a kind of, you know, surface level, everything is, you know, hunky-dory in life, and, you know, there's no problems, and everything's going according to the plan, and kind of gets thrown into the, you know, the Vietnam War, and things change severely for him.
Yes. So is that a little bit more about the storyline? Is that basically it, how you meet and your challenges?
Yeah, so I mean, we've known each other since we were quite young. Since I hit him with a wiffle ball in the third grade, and so you know, we basically start there, and then the show really is about feminism and about this sort of journey for independence, and also about the civil rights movement and about the Vietnam War and all the things that are very much we're still talking about today. Not exactly in those terms, but there are a lot of parallels.
No,
yeah, you know, with a show like this where you're looking at some of the heavier subject matter, right? What's your goal for folks who are coming to see the show and then walking out of the theater? Is it to energize them and galvanize them to kind of go out and make a difference? Because, you know, art can do that and really galvanize people to want to do something.
I mean, yeah, I hope so. I hope people feel inspired. I mean, we see a lot of multi-generational kind of, you know, viewers coming, like mothers and daughters or grandmothers and mothers and daughters, which I think is really sweet. And then you hear them talking about, well, in my day, you know, we did this and we did that, and I think it does inspire people to vote and to stay active, and you know, and it's a very different, obviously, time today because we've got social media and everything is on the phone. So it's a different way of doing it, but I think people do leave feeling inspired. Yeah,
we've done quite a few talkbacks, and the folks that usually stick around and really want to talk about the show are the ones who are alive during this time period. And you know, one of the things that they have really appreciated about what we're doing is that it kind of thrusts them back into that emotional state, into that, you know, and they're just like, oh my God, that's right, like this happened and now it's happening again, and like things are cyclical and history repeats itself, and so I think it's an important time to have these themes, you know, represented on the stage.
We got a lot of young kids too, though, that are excited. Yeah, like we got a whole huge group of like school kids the other day, and they were like, yeah, you know, they were so excited, and I think they were also surprised how relevant the material was to them. Like we got so many really interesting questions from them and opinions.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about the music in this show.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite songs all the time. He does one of them, actually. I Only Want to Be With You is literally my favorite song, and You Don't Own Me is another one of my favorites, so there you go.
Yeah, no, well, so I grew up listening to classic rock, you know, I was raised on Zeppelin and The Who and the Beatles and, you know, and all this kind of stuff, and so when I heard, you know, this musical was about, you know, it was going to be popular music from the, you know, from 1965, from the mid-60s, I was like, oh, I know all those songs. Didn't know half of them, because this is a very different, you know, side of popular music from that time, and so for me it was really, really fun to kind of dive into some of these tunes that I
well, also female artists, like female, you know, like a lot of Petula Clark stuff, and that's exciting too, because so much of that time period was male dominated, and this is really a feminist show, and we do feature a lot of really cool feminist artists, which I think is important.
Yeah, and let's talk about the outfits and the costumes, because like the 60s was such an interesting time period in terms of fashion.
Yes.
So is there a favorite look?
Ooh. I get a cute little sort of like floral skirt with like
Yeah.
a built-in little button-up with like a little cravat and a vest,
Oh,
which
very
sounds
nice.
horrible, but everyone's like, I love that dress on you. It's so fun.
Well, in life, I have kind of a leather jacket obsession, and so
Why
I
did
think-
you wear one?
He's got some
Well-
great ones. Listen, I would say it's worth the price of admission just to see him in his outfits, because he's got the
Yeah.
fatigues and the whole thing.
But well, yeah, okay. But at the end of the show, I get to come out in this really great, brown leather, 1960s jacket that
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of want to take this home with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need this, and I get to slip
Well, maybe
every
it'll
night at the end of the show. I
I
slip
don't
it
know.
on. I'm like, yeah, it feels so good.
Maybe it'll just happen to disappear. at the end of the
It
show.
might, yeah.
What does your mom think of all of this?
Well, it's funny because I've been working on the show for the last 8 years. I think we've been developing this.
Wow.
And so my mom has seen it, but both my parents have seen it from the very beginning. And every time she sees it, she's like, this is really the way that it was. And she's
Oh,
so
that's
passionate about it. And I think she's really inspired by the story that we're telling
Yeah.
and the way that we're sharing it with the younger generation.
Good.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Good stuff, because it's a history lesson. That's why the young folks are coming, class trips, whatever it may be. It's a
That's
bit of
how
a
they
history
learn
lesson at the
history
same
these
time.
days,
I mean,
right?
seriously, it's like
Yeah.
because they're not paying
Their
attention to the
music.
textbook sometimes. So.
Well, and it's good because it feels like a history lesson without it feeling like a history
right,
lesson.
which
Do you
is
know
the
what I
way
mean?
to do it now.
It's
Keep
the best way.
everybody's attention. Great to have both of you here.
Thank you.
Thank
Let's
you.
look at the show. All right, A Sign of the Times is currently running at New World Stages. Go check it out.